Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this exclusive customer briefing. So I'm Bastien Bob. I'm the Global Field CTO at Lookout. I'm in charge of the technical strategy for the business unit we call Mobile Endpoint Security, or MES. And today I have the pleasure to be hosting Alan Zaccardelle from Airbus to talk about an Android vulnerability that he discovered, a few months ago, a few weeks ago. Good afternoon, Alan. We've known each other for, I think, maybe 7 years, maybe 10 years, almost. Airbus is a very long time Lookout customer. We've done several presentations together. So can you introduce yourself for the audience, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. Alan Zaccardelle, so I'm now the security officer CISO for Airbus Skywise, and I've been working on security since decades now, and obviously I was the initiator of the security in the mobile ecosystem for Airbus starting in 2014. So we started to exchange quite intensively with Lookout in 2014 with a lot of security concern. And in fact, we couldn't, I would say, start deploying at that time, but we started massively deploying in 2018 on the old Airbus group. So we have around, we have licensed 180,000 devices. And just to give you some percentage, we roughly have 10% of iOS, and the rest of is Android.
And 90% of Android devices may be vulnerable to this kind of vulnerability today.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to say something before we start? Do you want to introduce maybe why you why you do that? Why you discover some vulnerability, and do you want to tell us why you're interested in with this field?
I mean, to protect. So I was leading the security on the mobile in Airbus. So to understand how to protect, you need also to act as a bad actor, I would say, as a hacker, to find weaknesses in the way we manage, in the way you protect, in the way you want to exfiltrate data. So it's just not a simple, I would say, interaction with malicious application, but you need to understand the attack vector from SMS, from the internet browsing, from the social engineering, some all kind of things in order to protect sensitive asset. And it came to my attention when I changed my role in Skywise before leaving, trying to protect all the APK deployment, so unknown source of deployment of application, to have a complete security from the beginning in terms of whitelisting the device, to the hardening of the device in terms of settings, to the compliancy of the fleet. And so I knew some kind of way to bypass. So before letting the subject, and trying to make sure that the security was well deployed. And a couple of months ago, from my personal approach, I wanted to evaluate Graphene OS, which is something that you may heard now a lot in terms of protecting your device, your privacy when you cross the border on the airport, or all kind, and for journalism and privacy, something very important from a personal point of view, but also you may be concerned for your employees when they travel or they're in transit in a very sensitive, high risk country. So I wanted to evaluate myself Graphene OS, and to do that, I wanted to enroll this device in the Airbus ecosystem and to see how it was reacting, either from a lookout point of view, but also from the MDM and all kind of security. So I'm very close to my colleagues mobile security. So we are very transparent. We are in the same services. So but that was my I would say my security passion
Yeah,
and to
I know
contribute.
you're
And this is why as soon as I was discovering some very strange behavior, I contacted Bastien to see with his labs if we were able to replicate and also in a more security community, close community, before going more widely.
Yeah, so we'll speak about that. We'll speak about the discovery and how we collaborate together, how you collaborated with Google as well. So let just to make sure that everyone is aware about the Android Enterprise, we'll just cover briefly how Android work profile and how Android Enterprise works. So we explain the difference between the deployment modes. Then Alan will explain you the technical details about the vulnerability and how exactly he discovered it, and we'll give you some information about how you can or how anybody malicious can exploit this kind of vulnerability. So we prepared a short context awareness and demo. And if you have any question, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A section in the Zoom. So do you want to start with this kind of presentation of Android work profile and Android deployment mode for the Android Enterprise?
Yep, definitely. So before going into details, I know some company have different enrollment or approach on iOS, on Android. So we are just to make it simple. BYOD to bring your own device, so you address different populations. So and depending on the budget and the cost you want to face, you accept or not to let your employees, your subcontractors, or any partner that you are working with to bring their own device, and then you bring a kind of security settings on top of it to make sure that privacy is led to the employees or the user, and then you manage a kind of a professional environment that you control, and you make sure that the device is compliant with your policies. COPE, which is a corporate owned personal enabler, so meaning that you own at the company level the device, and you accept that your employees can use it in a personal way. But this is probably the same approach as the BYOD. The difference is that you accept a limited number of brand or type of device. So, for instance, you can accept only Samsung. You can accept. I'm focusing on Android. So let's put iOS apart, which is a different approach. But if we are focusing on the Android, you may have a blacklist, whitelist device brand. Samsung can be whitelisted. Android Pixel can be also whitelisted. You can whitelist Sony. You can blacklist Xiaomi, Huawei, or other type of device that have been made with malware embedded. So there is a lot of information on internet. Altis, I think there is 28 or 38 device that have been proven, and investigation has been performed on those devices that has been manufactured with embedded malware. So any application from mobile threat protection, detection, whatever EDR won't detect any behavior because it's very low at the low level, and the application won't see it. It's like bootloader, all kind of things. And Kobo is corporate owned and business only. That means that you do not accept any personal usage, personal applications. So it has been just coming back to
Yep. Sorry.
so it has been created and developed by Google in early 2015, and the first device was Android 5.0, it's Lollipop. On the left side, you can, for those that are not so familiar, you have kind of a segregation, like a sandboxing approach or containerizations. On the left, it's a personal, so you can have your own personal applications, which are not able to communicate with your prior professional environment, which is on the right. So you have two environment, work profile and personal profile. And this work profile is managed by your mobile device management with the policy. So you can also enforce some copy paste limitations, screenshot, constraint application that are belong to your application store, your work application store, mobile store that is not public or whatever.
Yeah, so the company control what you push on the work profile, or at least should control what you push on the work profile, what you install, what kind of access you have, what kind of VPN you use. So they control that even if it's on a personal device.
And that was one important revolution, I would say, the digital transformation of for the company that we will that propose to use one single device for two usage, personal and professional. That was mainly uh, coming just after a long period of BlackBerry that was very focusing on the work environment, emails, and then we came with digitalization, with mobile applications, smartphone, with more digital life that consider personal and professional in the same device with its security.
So, yeah, this is the advantage
Um,
of the work profile. I think we covered part of that.
So as I said before, the enterprise was very interested to deploy such of approach for data segregation and protection to prevent the usage and the interaction between personal and professional. So in the same device, you can have two same mobile applications for emails or Google, but it can be Outlook or whatever. But we have a very segregated environment, sandboxing environment or containerization in the way that an email coming from personal environment won't be by inadvertisement, by error or human error, to be sent to personal or mixing personal and professional. So that was very interesting. And as I said, based on policy and also by design, there is no way a personal application can interact with a professional environment and professional applications. The only interactions would be the notifications, but can be very limited from an MDM policy to refuse the recording or whatever. So in the past, it was a lot of security vulnerability related to the notification, but that was being fixed by Google as they developed and implement new features and securing the environment. User privacy protection, for sure, no control or visibility with user personal data from the company point of view. So meaning that the company cannot interact in a personal environment to know what usage is doing, what email is sending, what is the photo is stored in the personal photo storage or whatever.
And
In terms of
even what kind of apps are installed on the personal side as well.
yeah. So very difficult for a company to identify to work on the behavior user behavior analysis or the political concern for a specific user according to the personal application from a party, Democrat or Republican that he installed on the application on his personal. So that was very conscientious and very interesting for company to handle Android, because again, iOS has a different approach, which in fact each app has its own containerization. So very different. This is why and the price of deploying iOS on the company was not so justified to every employees to request an iOS for their daily emails and calendars or whatever. So this is Android was affordable for everybody and was not only limited to top exec or C level. And the risk of malicious attack, meaning that we could block the deployment and manage the application on the work profile. This is something very interesting. So
the Android work profile is something that's supposed to keep the corporate data private, or at least in a specific container, and make sure that this environment is safe for unwanted application or malware or whatever kind of application the user wants to push or to install in this work profile. But I think you found a way to bypass the restriction and the policies applied to this Android device. So can you tell us more about that? So we prepare that at the origin of the vulnerability. So can you drive us through this?
Yeah, early teasing with something is coming after those slides. Yeah, as I said, in the summer, my intention was to evaluate Graphene OS, which is a highly secured operating system, which is a native Android part, but there is a community that are focusing on to de-Googleize the Android and to control more on the interaction in terms of access, contact, storage, and managing differently and kind of duress password. If you type a specific password, it wipe completely the device. So something that were very interesting long time ago. And because they implemented something very interesting, I wanted to use it for my personal life. And doing that, I say maybe instead of having two physical device, personal and one for the work profile, I would say for my work task, decide to have only one Android with personal and professional, but in a more secure way. And I couldn't unroll it easily. I had to mix it little things to make it work. And in fact, in September, early September, I find a way to unroll without any issue on the MDM. So when we are talking about MDM, Intune, AirWatch, Amnesia, Mobile Iron, Google, all kind of things. And I was very frustrated that our policy was not so easy to make it happen. So I didn't bypass the MDM and policy. However, I found a way to avoid the Graphene OS by design deployment of application. So Graphene is just moving APK from a untrusted source. I would say no trusted source, which is Aurora, because we rely on the Play Store in an anonymous way. However, I found a way to inject something between the enrollment to make it happen. After that, I say, okay, now I can enroll directly. It's painful to maintain and to update. But what happens if I try to use the same approach to enroll on a native Android device? So I had a Pixel. So I play with the Pixel. It was a finger in the noise to make it a friendly approach. And then I say, okay, is it working on Samsung? So then I tested on Samsung. Then we discussed with Bastien at that time if it to play with his lab, with Android, with Intune, because and try also to ask Microsoft to have a kind of try license to play with Intune to activate every security they have. I couldn't. However, with Bastien, I was able to force only one app on that, so we play a little bit. And then I wanted to, so I tease a lot of my security colleagues for MDM and security and Lookout also, and they were my concern was because we denied a lot of secure apps, secure messaging like Telegram, like all kind of things that represent a risk for us, and even on the personal environment. So we have a very strong policy that we do not accept any such of potential dangerous application, even on the personal environment. So we are pushing hard, and it becomes like a compliance check. So if your device has TikTok, for instance, or Signal, Telegram, whatever, they have a strong commitment that if they are not respecting these rules, we are wiping the environment, professional environment. So it came to me that my personal environment had Signal, Telegram, such of application, and I was impacted by corporate rules. So I say, okay, let's play a little bit, and I try to bypass, not to bypass, to avoid and to learn, I would say, to make things that everything's clean, but not clean. Due to that, I inform my colleagues and I say, okay, there is something big going on. So I decide to say, okay, is I'm eligible to the bug bounty to Google. So I inform Google and they say, oh, that's high. Severity high, you need to communicate. So I had to document, to make proof of concept, video, all kind of things. And they Google from NDA asked me to not communicate, even for my company, because they were scared about, losing the control of these findings, vulnerability. And I informed my colleagues when Google had a fix. It was supposed to come in to push on March, but they didn't for probably their internal uh, purpose. But at March, I decided to communicate to the CEO and CISO of Airbus about very limited group of people, or say to identify what I've discovered, to play with my two devices, my Graphene and my Pixel, to identify if we have similar use case internally, to see if we have some users that have played with that without communicating, or maybe potentially insider
really
user,
malicious insider.
malicious insider that may use this to exfiltrate data or kind of things. Lucky we didn't have any users. And there is a real difficulty to identify my device, my behavior today. So this is very important for you to understand that there is no way easily to identify that I am not anymore compliant. I'm not compliant. And on the 4th of the 4th or 5th of April, Google released the CVE, which is 2005 442 severity high, that affect the findings, just coming back, that affect affecting all Android for work since 2015, so 10 years of vulnerability, and they have patched 13, 14, and 15 Android OS.
And I think that's important for our customers there, and we will give you some takeaways at the end. But it's 10 years old vulnerability impacted every Android devices. So it's patched currently only on Pixel devices. So I checked Samsung website just before that webinar, and it's still not available. So we know that. We know that as soon as Google release a patch, it takes weeks, months to be released in the global Android fleet. So you need to be really careful. Even if you enroll a device today, you may be vulnerable to this kind of attack.
It's the POC or the script, I would say the code that can help to compromise your mobile environment is not available, but it's very easy. You need few skills, not very advanced. This is something that we are not talking about zero click, buffer overflow, going inside the kernel, whatever. It's very simple. And this is where the vulnerability is located. It's the application framework. So we are not. It's very standard. So it was very easy for Google to patch. And it's related to local privilege escalation vulnerability, which is located in a REST condition that allows any unauthorized application to be installed directly on the work profile. So I can choose whatever application I want, and I will be able to put anything in work profile. So if I want to exfiltrate securely any confidential data, I can install Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, TikTok, or even all kind of things, and I will retrieve and share all your directory contact of the company, and without any letting you uh, notifying you or security or the SOC what is going on.
I think that's the main issue. Companies rely mainly on the MDM, and they think that the work profile is secure because Google said so, and by default it should be. But that's the main issue. This vulnerability leads to installing whatever you want during the device activation. So let's deep dive into how it works. Do you want to present that, or do you want me to cover it?
As you like. I mean,
No, you go ahead.
okay.
It's your work.
So pre-enrollment preparation, you need to have a clean device, whatever. So depending on the way you distribute, you're distributing your device and your fleet. It's only just a clean device. You don't need to be rooted or whatever. So you can take a new device, and as long as it is comply with your device compliance matrix, no problem. When you install the MDM, you need to authenticate. You need either a factory reset or whatever. You need to authenticate. You need to install, for instance, I used AirWatch, so Intelligent Hub, but you can use Intune or any mobile run or even Google. And when you go through the enrollment, either you use your user and password, either you are using QR code, and then as soon as you you authentic your authentication is validated by your MDM and your identity provider and policy and your group, then the MDM is going to request the creation of work profile, which is native through API, through I would say the framework of Android. At that time, there is no way to pull down your policy. So root detection, it's MDM, but in terms of USB debugging, all kind of things, it's not possible. So at that time, you can activate USB debugging, you can activate all kind of things that let you all the ability to perform the injection. And there is a critical time issue that can vary from a few seconds, less than 1 minute or a couple of minutes, to I mean unlimited time.
Virtually unlimited time. Yeah. On
Unlimited
Pixel device.
time, depending on the how you consider that the enrollment is considered as unsuccessful, and you remove the token or whatever. So, and then you can move any application you want into that profile before the MDM take the control of this work profile. And then you do whatever you want. You can install any root application or jailbreaking application or rooted application. You can deploy for instance, lookout, if we consider that lookout is not, you don't want to be intrusive in your personal environment. You can deploy Telegram, WhatsApp, anything you want, or even any application you may homemade that can retrieve Wi-Fi, VPN, all kind of internal sensitive information that you could exfiltrate and use on an unmanaged device without any control. So we are talking about today with 0 day from Fortinet or all kind of things. I mean, you don't need such of technology or vulnerability, even if you are fully patched, if we are able to extract this kind of Wi-Fi certificate or kind of things that can be used separately. That would be the issue. So the only thing that you have to do is to have a USB debugging and ADB command to be used directly. And then after the step 4, this is the standard MDM management process that will retrieve and deploy professional implications, comply with your password policy or protections and security control of the device and all kind of things. And it's too late. I don't know if Bob, Bastien, if you want to.
Yeah, so I think let's move on the video. I think it will maybe easier to understand the workflow. But as soon as the work profile is created, you can do whatever you want with it. That means that the policies, the device restriction, and everything will be applied when you click next on a Pixel device. So you have as many time as you want, or a few seconds or a few minutes after if you're using an Android device. So I've tested a Samsung 8, a Samsung S23, a Pixel 7, Pixel 9, a cross-call device as well, which is a French brand, and all of them were vulnerable to that. So you have at least 20, 30 seconds to install an APK or to sideload an APK, that's a technical term, in the work profile, and this APK will stay in the work profile after the activation. So we'll speak about how the MDM can defend about this kind of stuff, but it's usually not applied. And we have seen that in many customer environments. It's still available today, and the application can be used for years. And it can also be updated from the work profile because the package is installed. And as soon as the package is installed, you can also update it from the personal side as well. So let's see the video. I hope it will work. Let me see. Yeah, I hope so. So I made a script to sideload the app as soon as the work profile is created, so we can see that the device is up to date in March 2025. And you can see I have Magisk APK, I have Telegram APK, and I will activate my device and roll this device in Intune. And I will run my script just to wait for the profile to be created. So you can see it's a standard activation. I don't think I skipped some part of that. But as soon as the work profile is created, we'll automatically inject the Magisk and Telegram APK in the user profile. So you will see that the profile is created, and you have a button. You may see that it's a standard pixel activation, and you can see on the left that the script is sideloading the application without asking anything for the user, without telling anything. And so the Magisk application has been sideloaded with success. The Telegram application will be sideloaded in success. And as you can see, the device enrollment is still enabled. And then you can activate that profile. And that's when the policies will be applied on the device. So that's where the security starts. But you can do whatever you want before this button or before you click on that button. And in my case, I only sideloaded 2 applications, but you can sideload as many applications as you want. So then if you see on the Intune environment, I only have Lookout for Work activated on this device. That means that only normally on the work profile, only Lookout should be there. And as you can see, Lookout is there, it's pushed by the MDM during the activation, but I also have my Magisk application and my Telegram application on this work profile as well, which are not validated by my company. It's not validated by the work profile. It's not supposed to be there, but it's there because of this specific vulnerability. And so, of course, if you deploy Lookout, you will be able to see that Magisk is a root enabler, that Telegram may have some vulnerability or may be denied by your corporate policy. So Lookout will be able to detect that. But without the MTD, without the ability to deploy something to check all the application running or installed on your work profile or on the personal side as well, you may not be able to see it. So there are some ability from the MDM, new capabilities like Android Management API that is quite new in the MDM environment to make sure that the device policies are applied and checked every 10 minutes on the device. But I talked to many customers and none of them have really deployed this. Some of them are evaluating, but yeah, we are speaking about something that is available for more than almost 10 years. And we don't know if some malicious applications have been able to be sideloaded by malicious insiders or not. So easy to do, just a script. I'm sure that you can ask ChatGPT to write this kind of script. It's really easy. You just check the work profile, you run the ADB command to sideload the APK, and then you finish your activation, and nobody will see it. At least not the MDM won't be able to see it. So what the risk for the organization? So we can sideload an application there. So that means that this application can be unwanted, can be a compliance issue if you sideload TikTok, Telegram, or any kind of Russian or Chinese application. If you work for an American company or even a European company wanted to ban TikTok, for example, we have seen that in many of our customer use case. But in terms of data exposure, you mentioned the email, you mentioned the document, you mentioned the VPN and certificate and everything. But virtually, you have an app that you can create, you can update from the personal profile, and this app will be able to do whatever you want. So if the application want to root your device or to exfiltrate some data, to read the email, to read your notification, you will be able to grant the permission for the application manually from the work profile, and you can just update this application from the personal profile using Google Android Studio or whatever you want to create your own application. And in terms of compliance and data regulation, I know that the case at Airbus and most of the American and large enterprise in Europe as well and administration, you need to be compliant. You should not have TikTok running on your device, personal or work profile or iOS or whatever. So it needs to be taken in consideration in terms of compliance and data regulation violation as well. You want to add anything on this?
No, you
Okay.
master the subject.
So thanks. So in terms of takeaway, so we wanted to restrict that audience today to Lookout customers. We don't want to really educate people outside our circle of trust, of course. But even in your Lookout environment, even if Lookout will be able to detect any malicious application, that you will be able to sideload in this kind of vulnerability exploitation or privilege escalation, at the end, the result is the installation of an unwanted or unsolicited or malicious application. So if you have Lookout running on your work profile and your personal profile, you should be covered anyway, but you may want to verify in the app inventory. You may want to restrict the version of Android devices that you want to enable in your NDM. So again, it's patched only for Android 13, 14, 15. That means that if you allow Android 10, 11, 12 in your NDM, somebody will be able to, or if the Android 13, 14, 15 is not patched at the right level, somebody will be able to escalate that privilege and be able to exploit this vulnerability anyway. So it's not because it's patched that it will be avoided in your fleet. So you need to make sure that the new devices enrolled in your fleet are patched, at least for the ASPL from the last week, and make sure that your ASPL and outdated policies are active in Lookout, configured properly for that, so to match the Android 13, to match the ASPL from the April 2025. And even if there is no add vulnerabilities there, it's still good to review your policies because it's a vulnerability exploitation, even if it's a system vulnerability. You need to make sure that the app vulnerability policy from the lookout is applied, is enabled, and you can also use now the escalation policy or escalation protection. So you can say after this kind of vulnerability, or even if the system is not patched after 30 days, you can escalate the risk and mark the device as not compliant, not instantly, but you can do that like a few weeks after or a few days after the detection, the first detection at least. So you should verify your MDM app inventory. So the MDM have the ability to see these kind of apps when it's sideloaded, but you need to look into that. You need to know what you are looking for, and you need to see how many devices are using only this unique application. If you have one device in your fleet using one specific application, of course, Lookout will give you this information. It will give you the app inventory and the MDM. You can use the MDM to search for the specific device, or you can just deny this application from the Lookout console. And of course, if you have any doubt, it will be detected and the device will be marked as non-compliant, of course. And just some sort of tips to manage this kind of procedure escalation or escalation in terms of vulnerability exploitation and malicious insider, malicious behavior from an existing device. You may want to migrate to Android Management API, which is now, I think it's developed in Workspace ONE, in Mobile Iron, in SOTI, in Google MDM as well. I know Intune is a bit behind, so they started to develop it, Android Management API, but yeah, I've tested it in my Intune and it did not work. So I don't know if it's a bug or if it's something else or misconfiguration. But I try to make it work with Intune. That means that Android Management API should remove all the non-compliance application automatically in your fleet, but it does not work yet in Intune. So you need to follow that, work with your mobility partner or work with your mobility team to make sure that you understand that. And of course, ask them to implement that as soon as possible, because even if this one will be detected and the application sideloaded will be detected by Lookout, we never know. Maybe one day there will be a really critical application, critical vulnerability that will lead to something else. And AMAP will be, Android Management API will be able to help to ensure the compliance of your device, unless the vulnerability is in the specific API. But that's maybe another discussion for another time. So I think I prepared two screenshots, one for the outdated policy plus the escalation rule. So that's how you should configure the patch level out of date in your Lookout environment. So you can play with the escalation rule, saying that, okay, my device will be just in advisory risk level, then you can escalate automatically after, I think it's up to 30 days. And same thing for the patch level outdated policy. You should switch, if you did not do that already, you should switch to automatic, and you can, we recommend between 4 and 8 releases, not more, of course, in the last ASPL. That means that as soon as an update will be available for your model of device, you have basically 2 months to install it before your device will raise an issue. Because it's 2 per month. So if you select 4 releases, that means that your device will be out of compliance in less than 2 months. So review your Lookout configuration, make sure that Android service patch level is available, security patch level is available, and configure that way in automatic and not in manual. We switched that, we created that maybe 2 years ago, but I know some of the customers are still using the manual. So you should switch to automatic and select the 4, 6, or 8 release based on your fleet, of course. So I think we're done for today. Do you have anything to add, Alan?
No. I think people will understand their responsibility in their fleet, and this is, I mean, it's not as simple as a zero-click vulnerability. However, you need to find out if you have some advanced skill people, employees that may just want to work, but they don't want to be bothered by security, so they may use this kind of approach to simplify, to avoid security barriers and blockers to work by themselves and without any respecting the rules. So, or if you have some users that maybe targeted or specific insider threat that you are involved in. So, but let's
Yeah,
see.
you discovered it, you reported it as good hacker could do, of course. But yeah, maybe somebody else figured that vulnerability or discovered that vulnerability like 7 years ago or something like that, and maybe one APT group or one advanced group is using it massively. Maybe yeah, we know that it's simple to exfiltrate data as soon as you load something in the work profile, and it's the perfect way to do it. So. Let me see. I don't think we have any questions from the audience. So if you don't have anything, going once, going twice, going three, yeah, that's good. So thank you, Alan, for your participation. Again, congratulations
With pleasure.
for this discovery, and I hope that we can work together again on on this kind of discovery, and maybe we'll do another webinar soon.
Yes, when it's coming.
Yeah. We never know. Yeah, and working on that, it's interesting.
Yes.
And when you start, yeah, you can find some good stuff as well.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for your participation, and be careful with your application and your Android configuration. It's not as safe as the marketing of Google would like to say. Thank you, Alan. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye all.